All right, we're talking about force vectors, and we need to understand that net force is all of the forces acting on a particular object after it's been combined. So if you have individual forces acting on a box, say here, and you have a 20 Newton force acting upward, a 10 Newton force acting downward, 5 Newton force acting to the left, and a 5 Newton force acting to the right, we need to come up with what is the total or the net force acting on that box, because the net force is going to determine our acceleration. So in order for us to combine the vectors, we need to just take a look at our picture. We've got these two 5 Newton forces, and they are acting in opposite directions. So even though they're both positive 5s, they're acting in opposite directions, so you can think of them canceling each other out. So 5 minus 5 basically is 0. Then we have a 20 Newton vector pointing up and a 10 Newton vector pointing down. And obviously the 20 Newton vector is a larger force. And so even though these two are acting in opposite directions, you're going to subtract, but you're going to wind up with a net force of 10 newtons up because the 20 Newton force here is larger than the 10 Newton force that's acting downward. So these two have canceled completely. These two you are subtracting, and you're winding up with 10 newtons up. And then the acceleration, you are going to have acceleration. You have acceleration whenever you have a net force. And acceleration is always going to be in the same direction as the net force, so you're also going to say that acceleration is up. Down here we have a second example. We have another box. We have a 30 Newton force acting to the left, and we have a 15 Newton force acting to the right, and an additional force of 10 newtons acting to the right. You could attach both of them to the box separately, but I think it's easier to see that this combines to 25 newtons if you put them end to end. So you have these two, this time adding together. The reason why they're adding together is because they're pointing in the same direction. So to the right, you have a force of 25 newtons, but to the left, you have a force of 30 newtons. And so you say 25 from 30, and you wind up with a net force of 5 newtons working to the left. You do have a net force that's not 0, so you will have acceleration, and acceleration is always in the same direction as the net force, so your acceleration will be to the left as well.